land this bird after all. We will see in the coming days, but it looks like, despite the governor's veto, the Senate seemed to have no problem passing this $36 billion budget, as well as the measure that would add $5 billion in revenue through taxes, income taxes, which is something the governor is not thrilled with, obviously. But the House will convene today. Not sure if a vote will quite happen today in Springfield from the House, but it looks like because of all of the movement and because of the communication with the credit ratings agencies, it looks like Illinois will not get downgraded to junk bond status, as was the threat even as late as yesterday. It looks like there's enough movement and to kind of satisfy the credit agencies, because Illinois was on the verge of becoming the first state to fall to junk bond status, and that would mean the borrowing would dry up and the interest rates would shoot up. So obviously that was one of the big concerns. It took 2 years, but on 4th of July, they finally got some movement there in Springfield.
Why now? Because it looks like Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate have come together and have left the governor behind. Why now?
Well, I think the pressure just got too hot. I mean, the fact is, Fitch and S&P Global said, look, if you guys don't have a deal in place by July 1st, we're downgrading you to junk bond status. There are $15 billion in unpaid bills sitting on the comptroller's desk right now. Those interest rates would shoot up. It sounds like about 1% every year. So, I mean, there just was no way out, and it would be hard for Republicans to go back to their constituents and say, well, we fought the good fight, and we fought against raising your taxes, but on the other hand, you're going to lose all these social services, and the state's going to fall into turmoil as a result. So they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and it really is a hard place on the side of the Republicans, because a lot of the funding for their campaigns has been through Governor Rauner. He's a billionaire, and he's pretty much self-funding the Republican Party. So to stand up against him is kind of a big deal. But for some of these Republicans, they had to justify going back to their districts. One of them in the same district as Eastern Illinois University. They've been hammered by this budget and just couldn't justify not getting a deal done and risk even more harm.
The tax increase is extraordinary, Ryan Burrow.
32%, yeah.
In this day and age where nobody wants to raise your taxes, even Democrats, right? And I mean, it's so toxic out there, and yet they are dramatically increasing taxes in the state of Illinois. Yeah,
so for a family that makes $50,000 in the state of Illinois, it will be an increase of about $600 annually, so that's $50 extra a month that they'll be paying in income taxes alone. There's also a corporate tax increase from 5.25% to 7%. That doesn't sit well with the governor at all, who wants to try to, bust those kinds of things down to make businesses move a little easier here. But it was a battle that he actually got some cover for, possibly, because, I mean, he was stuck in a situation, well, either I raise taxes or see the credit rating downgraded, and then who knows what happens after that. So he went in, there were the votes to override. He clearly did not like it, so he vetoed it. And within, I would say about an hour yesterday afternoon, the Senate was already back in session, and they overrode it. So now they're just waiting on the House. House couldn't pull everyone together. I mean, it was the 4th of July. They just couldn't get everyone back to Springfield in time, but they're convening today and tomorrow, and probably by the end of the week they'll override this thing.
What's the reaction, or is it too early to tell, from the people of the great state of Illinois?
It is kind of early. Everyone was obviously out at parades and barbecues yesterday, but I can't tell you that it's just a mess in Springfield, and people just wanted to see something done. Now, when they get slapped with that tax bill, I'm sure there are going to be other people screaming, but for the most part, a lot of people just wanted these politicians to get along and to do something together. I mean, it's been 2+ years. They were about to go on the 3rd year of not having a budget in place, and a lot of things were suffering. I mean, they pulled up all the construction projects on July 1st. Obviously, we've lost Powerball. We've lost Mega Millions, which, when this deal gets done, will probably be reinstated almost immediately. But, it was finally starting to hit Main Street as opposed to just these social services and agencies and colleges and universities. The concern was, this would be a state that would fall the way of Detroit.
Yeah. What about businesses? They're raising not just the personal income tax, but the business tax. They're raising that quite a bit as well. Any reaction from the CEOs?
That's been the argument by Governor Rauner. He's been touring kind of these border cities and talking about the companies that are leaving Illinois, going to Wisconsin, leaving Illinois, going to Missouri, leaving Illinois, going to Indiana. Most of them are small businesses, but yeah, it's hurt them, and the fact that you've got a state with the bond status that I believe it's triple B minus right now doesn't help when people are trying to think where to locate their business. Now, on the other hand, Chicago actually seems to be doing fine, and the mayor of Chicago says they're actually trying to wall themselves off from the state as much as possible because they are bringing corporate headquarters here. So. We'll see how it all shakes out. I'm sure you're going to hear people, complaining. The businesses will be complaining once this kicks in. But, unfortunately, coming after the holiday, we just haven't gotten too much of a reaction.
Interesting stuff. Ryan Burrow, ABC News correspondent. But